Where do you go if you have low income, okay, and you need to get a loan? All right, so you may have bad credit or you may have good credit, but your income is low. And so what I mean by low, your income, you're making less than $2,000 a month, okay? And so you may be on retirement, you may be on disability, you may be on unemployment. So where do you go to get a loan, right? So this video, I'm actually going to point out some places to you that may be able to help. Now, also, I'm going to break down some of the things that you need to know what's happening behind the scenes when you're going for these type of loans, all right? So the first loan we're going to talk about is Money Mutual, all right? And so many of you may have heard of Money Mutual. Money Mutual, all you need is at least $800 a month income. You can borrow up to $5,000. Even if you're in check systems, Money Mutual's platform states that they still can help you get a personal loan. So you do have to have an active checking account, all right? So that's number one. Number two, what about Cash USA? Now with Cash USA, their loans go from $500 up to $10,000. You do have to have an active checking account. One of the things about Cash USA, they focus more on the how long you've been on your job. Is the income stable? Okay, so they're not about the credit score. So that's the good thing about it. They're not about the credit score. They're looking at, is your income consistent? If you've been on your job, how long you've been at your address, and if you have an active bank account. So that's with Cash USA. Now, with Opportune loans, for some of you all that may have had an Opportune loan in the past, or you're not familiar with them, again, some of these lenders are also not in every state. So just keep that in mind. But hey, when you need funding and you know that the banks won't give you a loan, and you know that your credit is trash, you have to go to the best place that may give you the opportunity, right? So Opportune loans, they go from 500 up, their loans, you have to make at least $500 a month, okay, for an Opportune loan, at least $500 a month. But their loans go from $300 up to $6,000 when you first borrow, okay? And then once you pay that loan back, then you may have the opportunity to borrow from $6,000 up to $10,000. Like I said, with Opportune, they're not in every state. And again, some of these lenders are not in every state, so you may have some challenges. But the good thing about it, when you apply for these loans, and unless you actually accept the loan, there's no hard inquiry on your credit file. Now, here's something I want you all to know. With some of these lenders, when they say no credit check, when they state to you, oh, there's no credit check, they do have systems that they use, all right? And the reason they use these systems, see if you're in a recent bankruptcy, or see when was the last time you defaulted on a personal loan. So the system that they may use DataX, which is owned by Equifax. They may use Clarity, which is owned by Experian. They may use Factor Trust, which is owned by TransUnion, or they may use LexisNexis, okay? So those are your four top. Now, those first three I named, because the major credit bureaus, they do own those systems, all right? So just keep that in mind when you're applying for these. Now, I'll tell you something else that you may have to do. If you have frozen your credit file and stuff, you may have to unfreeze your credit file in order to get approved for these loans as well, all right? Now, next up is personalloans.com. Now, personalloans.com, again, it's another platform. They're not focused on the credit. They're focused on if you have a steady stream of income. Now, the interesting thing about it, their loans go from $1,000 up to $35,000, okay? Now, again, it can factor in how long you've been on your job. It can factor in how long you've been at your address. Long as you're making a minimum, I would say with your minimum with them, you're looking at maybe from $800 to $1,200. But again, like I said, if you have low income, then these are the lenders you want to look at. Now, there are credit unions that offer loans and stuff with no credit check as well. So you may have an option with some of those also. So think about some of those that you may want to check out. Your Local credit union. Your local credit union usually have loans. If you're banking with a local credit union, they usually have loans up to $2,000 that they loan to people with no credit check as well. So if you have bad credit, you may want to check with your local credit union also. That being said, creditloan.com. Now, creditloan.com, again, it's another platform. But here's the interesting thing about creditloan.com. Because they do tribal loans, and what that means is that when you go to the casino, okay, so you go to the casino and you lose your money at the casino, well, casinos take that money and they loan it back out. All right, so they use multiple platforms in order to help you get approved. And the good thing about it, they stated that they have at least a 90% approval rate. Okay, so to find a lender that's going to work with you, that's not looking at your personal credit, that has a 90%, that state that they have a 90% approval rate, then creditloan.com may be your option. All right, let me back up and talk about credit loans for a minute to elaborate. Their loans go from $250 up to $40,000. Okay, so $250 up to $40,000. So you may have a crappy credit, but you have good income. So they may be able to give you a larger amount of loan. All right, so that's just an option. Now, moving forward, talking about OneMain Financial. OneMain, their loans go from $1,500 up to $20,000, and their average in terms of credit score. The average in terms of credit score is probably maybe about a 545. Okay, so you don't have to have a high credit score even with OneMain. Now, some of you all may not like where OneMain says, well, if you're going to go, like, say for trying to borrow more than $5,000, they may want to do some type of collateral or something like that. So that's the only thing, the drawback from OneMain. But other than that, again, if you have low income and you need funding, OneMain may be one of your best options as well. Now, the last one is Upstart. Now, here's the unique thing about Upstart. Granted, you don't need a credit score. You don't need a credit score, which is amazing because it's a fintech company, all right, and they're using different data points. And so those data points, again, how long you been on your job? Or do you have a consistent income? How long you been at your address? So using other data points to help you qualify for a loan, which is awesome. Now, one of the things about it, you have to be making at least $12,000 annually, which is about $1,000 a month. Okay, again, these loans are for people that have low income. You can have higher income, but for people with low income, this is definitely the places that you want to go to. All right, now their Upstart, their loans go from $1,000 up to $50,000. Okay, now the average credit score, like I said, they really don't focus on the credit score. It's all about the income. What's your debt to income ratio? Now, for most of these lenders versus the traditional banks, the credit union stuff, most of these lenders, their debt to income ratio is higher. I'm talking about 70-75% higher, where with your traditional bank or credit union, they're maxing out at 55% debt to income ratio. So that's another reason that you want to take a look at these here personal loans if you have a low income. All right, now if you have any questions about how to remove some negative items off of your personal credit to boost up your credit score, or trying to get more personal credit funding or business credit funding, click the link in the description and schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.